Welcome back to Skippers. Today we are doing must draft sleepers for your fantasy baseball teams. We have 4 guys we think can easily outperform their ADPs. Before we get into the video, please subscribe. Help us out. Would mean a lot. If we get 10K subscribers, it's a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
But 24-hour stream, 999 challenge. It'll be something to see. So please subscribe. Jer, why don't you get in? Also join the Discord. Sorry.
Yeah, join the Discord. Click the link.
Good banter.
10K it can happen. It can definitely happen.
Crazier things have happened.
Way crazier things. I'm excited. It's one of my favorite episodes, Sleepers, just because they're not league winners. I'd say we're going to have a league winners episode, but hey, a sleeper works out. It's huge for your fantasy baseball team. My first guy is Ian Anderson of the Atlanta Braves, ADP of 132. His ADP was actually higher last year. Obviously, because
he was being drafted earlier or
earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
that gets mixed up.
Yeah, that gets mixed up a lot. We were big on him last year. I mean, 2020 he was outstanding. Obviously, not a big sample size. People were talking about Corbin Burns and Ian Anderson as the 2 young pitchers last year that sort of like, hey, they could have like a huge season. Turns out Ian Anderson didn't really live up to the hype last year. He was still 5th in rookie voting. So
injured though.
Yeah, injured. Obviously was dealing with injuries. Obviously he's a fastball changeup pitcher, but what I really see the potential here is developing that curveball. If he can bring in that curveball as a legit, I can't speak English.
Yeah, you're the worst.
Holy crap.
Legit.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Dave. I think that Ian Anderson could outperform this ADP easily.
I agree with you. I think he's a good pitcher. Injuries kind of threw him off last year. Don't really count it. Don't look too much into it. We'll look at 2020, take some of those stats for what they will, but I think Ian Anderson's in a very good spot for the Braves rotation this year.
Yeah, and I think you look at what the Braves did last year, like winning a World Series, like he's 23 years old, like getting that experience under his belt, being there, witnessing it. I think Ian Anderson is primed for a big year.
Like it. All right, I'll go in my first sleeper, and that is Willie Adames of the Milwaukee Brewers, ADP of 136. Last year, 260 average, 24 homers, 72 RBIs, 76 runs, and 5 stolen bases. Him getting traded to Milwaukee is the best thing that could have ever happened to Willie Adames. He complained. He found it tough to hit at the trop, which a lot of hitters have kind of found that. But it's like, hey, Willie, like you need to find it out. And then he's like, I just got traded. And he became like one of the best hitters in baseball over that time. He was 283 with 19 homers and 57 RBIs in only 98 games with the Brewers. His home versus road splits in his career are really funny to look at based on that. He hits 223 at home, which is mostly at the trop, and then 300 on the road. He was a top 10 prospect in baseball when he made it up to the majors, so the talent is there, and he's a spot where his potential can just skyrocket. So if you take a look at his barrel percentages from the last couple of years, it goes 7%, 8%, 10% to 11%. His OBP went up significantly in the second half last year. He ran the best hard hit percentage of his career, as well as the highest launch angle at 16.8 degrees, as well with his best walk rate. That's just a polished hitter, I think, for me. When I see numbers like that, it's like, hey, he's starting to put it together. He can really hit the baseball. He's the ability to steal some bases. I think there's 10 stolen base upside with his 73rd percentile sprint speed, 5 last year. Let the reins off him a little bit. Let him run. I think he can get to 10. 85th percentile max exit velo, 72nd percentile in hard hit percentage, 76th percentile in barrel percentage, while also having the lowest ground ball rate of his career. A lot of the guys, there's like, hey, get the ball in the air, we can hit some home runs. But Willie Adames, with that good average, shows that he didn't sell out for power. So he crushes fastballs as well. And the fastballs he sees 56.3% of the time. He hit 309 off the heater last year. And it was his best run value by pitch type ever in his career. Willie Adames is a really, really good player. I think he's a steal in the 10th, 11th round of your drafts if you missed out on some of those stud shortstops, and you can wait on the middle infield position.
Yeah, I was such a hater on Willie. Like when he got traded, I don't really like when players complain about shit. I'm a no excuses type guy.
Yeah, I'm sure you had
that.
I'm sure you had a big issue with the MLBPA asking for more money. That's the type of guy you are. Big business.
Business type guy here. But look, I mean, he put his play where his mouth was. Does that make sense?
Almost.
The saying is close. But like you said, you listed off everything. Like the data is there. Like he hits better. he's way better with Milwaukee, and all his stats are better. So like, there's nothing telling you why he can't have a very good season with Milwaukee now that he'll be there for the entire season. Yeah, so love Willie. I'm going to the New York Yankees with my second guy, DJ LeMahieu, ADP of 115. Avery and I made a very costly mistake last year in the FSGA league. We're excited to be back in the FSGA competing.
We're going to win.
Get some rings, which will be nice. We drafted him in the second round of a 14-man. Obviously, he didn't perform to that level at all.
No, he didn't.
But this ADP is just ridiculous at this point. Like an ADP of 115 for a guy who's hit over 300 at home in his last 8 seasons is pretty absurd. He's hit over 300 at home in 9 of his 10 seasons in the MLB.
Colorado, though.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's still playing at Yankee Stadium.
Sure, it's average. It's not home runs.
Mm-hmm. He hit 257 at home last season. Now, is it fair to say that this is just an outlier? Because in 2020, he hit 448 at Yankee Stadium.
I think the 448 is probably the outlier.
I think we could find a middle ground here.
I agree.
I think he's definitely an over 300 hitter at home at Yankee Stadium.
He also plays 82 games on the road.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
whatever.
But he's hitting 330 at home. What does he have to hit away? Like 250, 270?
Yeah, 270.
And he's a good player. His K percentage was still top 9% in the MLB last year. His expecting batting average was 283 compared to his 268 average. All his stats weren't that bad last year. I think that he just started off the year in a slump and just couldn't figure it out.
I think I just had a hate for him ever since the start of the season.
A lot of DJ owners got really frustrated really fast.
Yeah.
And he was getting dropped in some leagues. But I think at the second base, obviously a thin position. It's always been a thin position. DJ, like obviously being a utility type player that could play first, second, and third for your fantasy team, huge ad that late.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do here.
Mm-hmm.
You guys might see a signing before we do. As of right now, they haven't signed any first baseman, so he should be getting reps at first base this season again. But he can do it all. You're right, man. I think he's in a prime bounce back spot. One of the best. I'll go my second sleeper guy I loved last year. I think he can do it again.
You do love this guy.
CJ Cron, Colorado Rockies, ADP of 130. He's one of the bounce back players of the 2021 season. 52 plate appearances in 2020. He had a knee injury, and then he gets to bounce back at Coors Field in 2021. 28 homers, 92 RBIs. They signed him on another 2-year deal right away. You look at CJ Cron, what makes him successful, top 7% of the league in max exit velo, top 8% of the league in weighted on-base average. He's top 30 in the league as average as well. So obviously, doesn't steal bases. He's not going to score a ton of runs. So if you can't do that, you need your 3 other categories to be really good, and I think CJ Cron does that. Him even checking off the average category is really nice for a first base spot. His expected weighted on base, expected slug, barrel percentage, and walk percentage are all higher than 75th percentile in the league. He had the second lowest strikeout rate of his career, paired with the best walk rate of his career. He made a change and obviously had a lowest ground ball percentage of his career. Another guy, hey, you're in Colorado. You can't hit home runs if you hit ground balls in Colorado, right? Get the ball up in the air, the altitude, it'll go. He should build on a solid 905 OPS from last season, and if he didn't miss a couple games closer to end of the year, he would have easily broken his home run record for a season, which is 30. He crushes fastballs, 315 average against them, 55% hard hit percentage, best run value of any pitch in his career, 91 mile per hour exit velo. He sees fastballs 58% of the time. I mean, if you're going to hit fastballs and you're going to hit 307 off or 315 off them, you're going to be in a good spot. And I mean, you think, hey, they're going to throw you a lot of off-speed pitches. You're still getting fastball more than half of the time. So if you can hit the fastball, you're going to be successful. Again, really solid 3-category contributor. And I'd be willing to wait past the Goldschmidt-Abreu tier probably. I don't think Goldschmidt's going to steal the bases that he did last year. So I'd be willing to wait like a round or two to get CJ Cron instead of Goldschmidt-Abreu.
Yeah, CJ Cron. Last year, you loved him before the year. I mean, you talked about him. I wasn't really a hater. I was like, I don't really want CJ. But he had a great year. The best thing going for him is playing, obviously, for Colorado. The only thing I think that holds it back, we talked about this, is that lineup and what's that lineup going to look like without Trevor Story in it? Will people be on base for CJ to bring people home?
I think Brendan Rodgers just takes over what Trevor Story did, and he's on base just as much.
Yeah. He could take a big leap this year. I agree.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Subscribe, comment who you like as a sleeper this season. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.